Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Warzone 2 is officially here. Season 1 is live. And of course, you guys are all jumping in just like me, trying to figure out what is working well in game when it comes to your loadouts. Now, loadouts this year are a bit different. You can access them via completing a stronghold at any point in the game where you can get your full-on loadout, your primary, your secondary, your equipment, and all your perks as well. You can also get one of the free loadout drops in the game, which again gives you your full loadout, your primary, your secondary, your equipment, and all 4 perks. You can also go to buy stations and just buy individual primary weapons. You could buy 1, you could buy 2, you could buy your friends some too if you're just loaded on cash, right? So loadouts this year a bit different, but obviously the end goal is to still get your best top tier meta weapons. And today is an intro to Warzone 2. I wanted to break down 5 of the best weapons and best loadouts that I've seen and I've used so far. So we are starting first up here with the EBR, and yes, I do have Orion camo unlocked. Video coming very soon on that, but this is the general setup here. I am using a blueprint here, so that's why it doesn't say it's the EBR, but this is the EBR marksman rifle. It does take sniper ammo, but this thing is insanely strong. We're talking a 3 to 5 shot kill pretty much any close to medium range area. Now, for what it's worth in Warzone 2, because weapons this year actually have personality and actually have recoil and a feel to them, there's not a ton of guns that excel at 150 plus meters like in previous iterations of Warzone, where weapons were no recoil laser beams. Most weapons this year really are capping out at the longer terms of a mid-range gunfight. Those longer engagements, 60, 70, 80 meters, are where most guns are probably going to cap out at in terms of being super easy to use. The EBR is one of those guns where mid-range, it really just thrives. I do want to go over my secondary, my perks and equipment here real quick, because this is going to be the same for all the loadouts today. So for my secondary, I'm using the P890 pistol here. This is just a solid secondary to have. I'm not really ever using this in-game, admittedly. I'm going to try and pick up a weapon off of a body that I take out. Maybe I find a good ground loot gun. I'd rather have 2 primaries to have that sort of alternative option there, rather than this pistol, which is really just for close range of movement. And for what it's worth, I think the P890, the X12, and the X13 could all be built in a similar way here. This is the setup I am rolling with. I do have a Kimbo on there because it kind of erases up close. I know Maverick over on Twitter was talking about this setup in particular, tried it out, loved it. So shout out to him for the idea for this one. I also got the 12 round mag on there. I've got the 1 milliwatt laser. This is going to help out that hip fire accuracy and your sprint to fire a bit as well. Then I also got the Bruin Express trigger on there for that faster fire rate. Here I tune it for max recoil and max sprint to fire as well. And we're gonna be going through all the tunes for all these weapons as well. So, you know, screenshot the attachments if you want, but we are going to be going over the tunes as well, which is super important. Then I also use the DX90F muzzle here. It's the suppressor for max velocity and max smoothness there on the tune. That'll keep us off the compass or the crosshair there for the red dots, and then also helps out with the velocity and some of that muzzle smoke as well with that smoothness and visual recoil. So that's the secondary on all my setups. I'm also running stuns and drill charges. The drill charges help out with campers or anyone posted up in a building. You can clear them out that way. Stuns, I just think, are solid equipment here. Snaps are also pretty good. Stims, if you wanted to, are usable. The shock stick or the flashes also work. We got plenty of options there. And then here's the kind of sucky part of Warzone 2, in my opinion. You can't make your own perk setup. You're stuck with all these default ones, and admittedly, some of these kind of suck. And like, for instance, if you wanted overkill, there's no option here that has overkill. You are stuck with that secondary there. So I think Vanguard is the most ideal here with double time and bomb squad. So it's like EOD there. You also have that slightly better tac sprint. Resupply for your equipment there, pretty solid as well. Then high alert so you can get those vision pulses, pretty good. These other ones, like, there's some all right ones, but I'm not a huge fan of a lot of these perk packages. So that's the same on all my setups. Let's focus back here on the EBR. So this thing is tuned to be good for mid-range, tuned to be accurate as can be, basically, and easy to use. And like I said, it does take sniper ammo, but the thing hits like a truck, especially in mid-range. So first up, I'm using the Cronin 0P optic here. It's a decent one if we go into the firing range. It's kind of like a VOK 3x optic. You guys can see one shot headshot with no armor up close. Even at range, the thing is spicy, right? But even over long range, if I wanted to tap shoot, it's pretty accurate when it comes down to it. Like, you can consistently land shots for sure. So that's nice and convenient there. Then on the Cronin 0P, I tuned this for a little bit better ADS, but also max far distance when it comes down to ADSing and where that optic is placed for me. I also got the 20 round mag on here, the high velocity rounds tuned for max range and max velocity. So that's gonna be really good for any potential mid to long range fights. I've got the polar flare muzzle on here, and you'll notice with a lot of my muzzles, actually, I'm going for the suppressor, again, to keep those red dots off of the compass at the top. They won't show up on the map, but they won't show up on the compass there. So that's nice and convenient. But these cons are only worse stability and worse ADS speed, whereas a lot of the other suppressors have way other worse things. Like the damage range, you want to avoid those. You want to avoid these ones that have a ton of cons. So this one's not bad. Better velocity, better range, better smoothness as well, which is going to help out with that visual recoil. And I end up tuning this for max recoil smoothness in this case and max velocity. You could also tune for max ADS on this if you wanted to as well. Just keep in mind your visual recoil is going to be a little bit more obnoxious. Then lastly, I got the Boremaster barrel here as well. That's going to help out with the control and the velocity. Then I go ahead and I tune this for max steadiness and max range as well. So EBR feeling very, very spicy. Now the Fennec is another option here that is feeling very, very good in my opinion. For close range fights, this thing is insanely consistent. Has a great TTK. The TTK in Warzone 2 is fast as is, right? This thing sort of brings that to the extreme for close range fights. So here, I'm going to go for the Fennec rubber grip first and foremost for my rear grip. That'll end up helping out with your sprint to fire and ADS speed. I go ahead and I tune that for the max sprint to fire speed, but also better recoil steadiness as well. So it's still going to be easy to use. You got to run the 45 round mag on this thing. That is a must have because without it, you're just not going to have enough ammo for squad fights. I've got the 7 milliwatt laser on here for the faster ADS and this faster sprint to fire. This and the Ole laser are like must-haves, I think, on any aggressive loadout because that faster sprint to fire and ADS. Sure, it shows the laser. That's not a huge deal because you're not going to always be pre-aiming random corners. You just have to know where to pre-aim and how that's going to benefit your class setup. Now I also go for the Merc 4 grip here. That'll help out with some of the recoil steadiness, which is basically all control, but also your aim walking steadiness and hip fire as well if you need that. And I go ahead and I tune that for the max hip walking speed, so you have that faster walk speed. And then I tune it a little bit for ADS. I don't want to go too crazy on that because it will start to hurt your accuracy a tad bit there. And then I go for the Covert Force barrel here, which is an integrated suppressor, also better range and velocity. Hurt your ADS a bit, but I actually tune it for better damage range and better recoil steadiness because we get a faster ADS out of some of our other attachments. So it's nice and balanced, and like I said, super consistent for close range. By the way, just want to remind you guys, as we are breaking down these setups today, every single day, I got you covered with news, with updates, with class setups, with tips, everything going on in COD. You are going to find it right here. And around 57% of you guys watching the videos already are not subscribed. We are less than 15,000 subs away from 900K. Would be insane. Kind of a lofty goal, but it would be insane if we could hit that before the end of November. Seriously, do appreciate all the support. We're gaining like 1,000 new subs every single day, so much love for all you guys checking out the channel and enjoying the content. Also, if you guys enjoy this video or if you find it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it. Let's try and aim for a bit of a higher like goal. Let's go for 4,000 likes on this one. Another option that I am really enjoying, especially for mid-range fights, is the STB556, the AUG rifle version in this game. This again is more meant for mid-range more than anything. You could build this for long range with maybe a longer range scope and it'll do all right. It's relatively easy to use, but its damage over range is going to diminish versus some of the other options, like maybe an LMG, maybe a stronger rifle like the 7.62 cast-off, for instance. But I feel like this thrives in mid-range. When I was using it last night, it was feeling so good, so consistent here. Again, we're going for some interesting tunes. So I got the 42 round mag on here. Pretty basic extended mag. You need it for duos, trios, quads. 7 milliwatt laser again for the faster ADS and sprint to fire. I want this to be an aggressive rifle. I go for the Cronin Mini Pro. This is your blue dot optic here. If you want this to be for longer range, go for a VLK 4x. Go for a different long range scope that you enjoy using. But for me, mid-range and close range works great with the Cronin Mini Pro. I go ahead and I tune that for a slightly faster ADS yet again, and then max for the far distance on the eye position. Then I go for the 508 rear barrel here. This is going to end up helping out with that damage range, that velocity. I tried some of these other barrels like that help out with the control, and frankly, I didn't notice a huge difference in my recoil, but I noticed it being a lot slower, so I wasn't a fan of those. And here I go for the max steadiness, so it does actually give you some better control, and again, the max range. Then I go for the Echoless 80 muzzle. This is another suppressor that only hurts your stability in ADS, so again, pay attention to those pros and cons. It's going to help out with that velocity, keep you off the compass for the red dots, and also help out with the range and visual recoil. And here I tune it for a little bit better ADS, whereas other times, if you wanted to, you could go for that max smoothness, and I go for the max velocity here as well. By the way, at some point, probably next week, I will have a tuning guide out for several different key attachments in Warzone 2, so you guys know exactly what to do with your tunes. But this setup in particular, one of the best rifle choices in the game. Now, I did want to include one sniper setup, although sniping in Warzone 2 not nearly as dominant as it was back in Warzone 1, because the one-shot kills are not nearly as frequent. If someone is fully plated up with 3 plates, I don't believe you can one-shot to the head. Sometimes even with 2 plates, I've noticed I've got some pretty strange hit markers, so sniping is not nearly as strong. But for ultra long range, obviously the snipers are going to be your best bet because so many rifles and LMGs are more difficult to use at 100 meters, 100 plus meters, right? So sniping is an option in my opinion. I think the Victus XMR, our new season 1 gun, is the best choice. If you don't have this fully leveled yet, go for maybe the MCPR, or if you want an easy sniper to use that's a little bit weaker though, the Signal. You can spam this more, but its damage is not going to be as consistent over range, I've found. But to me, like, the Victus is just so consistent in my opinion. So here I got the Bruin Q900 rear grip on there. That's going to end up helping out with that ADS speed a little bit, and I tune it for max ADS then max stability as well, so it's nice and easy to use there, also nice and quick. The SPX 86.6 times optic here, probably my favorite sniper scope in the game. Super clean sights. If I go through with the firing range here, you guys will notice I love that optic. It's also variable zoom as well, not too huge of a zoom, but it's there, perfect for sniping. Also, you guys will notice the ADS speed on this, pretty consistent in my opinion. So the sniper setup is built well for that. So I use that optic, I tune it again for the far view distance, and then you can actually tune this all the way for ADS speed if you wanted to, but when you do get shot with a sniper, there is some flinch, so I don't go all the way up on that ADS speed. Again, I got the 7 milliwatt laser for that faster ADS speed as well. The high velocity rounds, you want to tune this for your max range and your max velocity, especially on a sniper here. Then I go for the Bruin counter ops muzzle. This is again a suppressor that doesn't hurt too much here outside of your ADS speed. It helps out with that velocity and range yet again. I go ahead and I tune that for max ADS speed and max velocity once more. So this, in my opinion, probably the best sniper option. And then lastly, I've got the TAC 56, aka the Scar rifle. I'm using a blueprint here from the store, but this thing, in my opinion, is probably my favorite rifle in the game. It's got a great TTK, but it's also really easy to use for some mid-range and some long range. Its recoil versus some other guns in the game is a lot more straightforward. I found a lot of success with this last night. Dropped in first game with this thing, won right away, used it throughout the night, dropped some pretty high kill gameplays as well. I mean, the Scar just felt really good. So here I'm going for the VLK 4 times optic for some mid-range and a little bit of long range. I tuned that again for the far eye position and for max ADS speed in this case. I also got the 40 round mag on there again for duos, trios, quad fights. High velocity ammunition, I tune that for max range and I go for max velocity as well. That's a huge thing you can do with all your ammo upgrades here, is tuning them for that for any of your main primaries for range. I've got the Tundra Pro barrel for the best range velocity control out of that, and I tune this for max recoil steadiness and again for max range. Then lastly, I go for the Harbinger suppressor in this case, which again is not going to hurt your range, hurts your stability and your ADS a bit. Obviously, we got some of that back with our tuning, but it helps out with that velocity and that range and that visual recoil with that recoil smoothness. And I go ahead and I tune this for slightly better ADS speed and for max velocity. Again, with the suppressors here, with any of the muzzles, really, you could tune for smoothness or ADS. Just comes down to what you want. If you don't feel like the recoil is all that great, tune for smoothness. If you don't like the ADS speed, tune for that. Relatively straightforward to use. And then again, like if I were to mount here, thing's a laser beam over long range, right? Like it's very straightforward to use, very easy to use. Visual recoil, not a big problem at all, especially on console or PC now, where you can go through and change your FOV as well, right? So those, in my opinion, are the top 5 best loadouts, best weapons to be running right now in Warzone 2. We will be going over like a full in-depth Warzone 2 meta video soon, and a full-on top 10 as well, with plenty of options for you guys as we gain more experience here in Warzone 2 gameplay. But that is going to wrap things up for this one. If you guys enjoyed, let me know by dropping a like on the video. And if you guys are new to the channel, as I mentioned earlier, every single day I got you covered with everything you need to know about updates, class setups, tips, you name it, it is right here. So we'd love to have you join us on the road to 900,000 subscribers. Once again though, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.